I'm kind of just kicking myself and I'm asking myself, why didn't I do this earlier? Why did I skip? Why did I not pick up another journal? Hello everybody, my name is Gabe the Painter. My title is no joke. It's not a lie. It's not some sort of clickbaity thing. This is a real deal and it is currently replacing my phone as we speak. Granted, there are things that a journal cannot do. For example, I will never be able to call my mom or FaceTime my wife. I will never be able to do those things with a journal. But I will say this, journal replaces all habits. The habits of scrolling, the things that are holding you back from achieving your goals, those will be gone. And I'm gonna get into that in a little bit. But not only that, it'll also increase the quality of your thoughts, allowing you to communicate freely and allowing you to think freely, allowing you to be creative with yourself again. So in this video, I want to talk a little bit about what is journaling, to go along with that, common practices, different ideas for your own personal journal. And the next thing will be, why do you journal? Why should you journal? As a little bit of background, I started my first journal seriously 6 years ago. The first journal it covered the last little bit of 2019 into a little bit of 2020. And the second journal actually went from 2020 to 21. And I covered a little bit over that year mark. And to tell you the truth, in that time, I didn't realize exactly how much that would impact me. But today, as I think about it and I'm pondering, and now that I'm going back to this practice, I'm kind of just kicking myself and I'm asking myself, why didn't I do this earlier? Why did I skip those few years right after I finished my second journal? Why did I skip? Why did I not pick up another journal? Sorry, my dog is making all sorts of weird noises. Sorry. Part of the reason why I didn't pick up a journal again is because I started creating more journals. So I was like, okay, well, having a journal is awesome, but I need journals to organize my thoughts. So I had a journal for scripture study. I had a journal for my day-to-day life. I had a journal for different ideas, different business concepts I was studying. I had several journals and eventually it burnt me out. I kind of lost track of them and I stopped working in others and I would neglect others and it just did me no good. And so I decided after seeing someone else make a video about this that I would get back into it, but do it the same exact way that I did it back in the day, where I would put pretty much everything into one journal. It wasn't my dreams, my dream journal. It wasn't my scripture study journal. It was an everything journal. And this is how you keep track of your quality of life and your goals and everything like that. And ultimately, I believe that this is the secret to success in 2025 and probably forever. This is volume 1. You can customize them, make them kind of unique to yourself. I picked a drawing book for this. You can get whatever type of journal that you really need, but I picked a drawing book for this. Some people like to pick the dotted journals or the graph journals or the line journals, but I like the art journals because in these art journals, there's no lines. There's nothing to base anything off of. It's purely based off of your creativity. It feels a lot more personal. These like weird jagged and rigid and rough lines that you see, it feels like me. It also made me feel like everything wasn't as uniform. I didn't have to have it be perfect, right? It also encouraged me to want to draw things and to sketch things out and to create, just to doodle. Right? And I doodled on the corners of the pages. I would draw like weird graphs that I had, things just to record and practice and just to see how I was doing. I had different studies. I had written things like my testimony, how I'd grown. But also within it, you also have to understand the purposes and why I started this journal is because I had left home for the first time to a place I'd never been. I wasn't around my family anymore. I wasn't around any of my friends, and I wasn't going to be talking to them for 2 years. And so in these journals, they contain some of the most vulnerable moments. They contain some of the most motivational moments. They contain some of the most angry moments and the most confused, the most tiresome moments. And I love every single second of it. This second journal, obviously you can tell they're pretty roughed up, and that's also what I love about them. I would make like stickers. I would start studying and highlighting things in the second journal. I would start writing things in different letters. I created this, essentially this graph to see how well my prayer evaluation, like just to evaluate how well I was praying. I had different quotes. I had studies on spiritual gifts. And you get the point. Letters friends wrote to me. I took notes on conferences I went to and some of my leadership positions during those 2 years, as I was very blessed to have very many, and I was able to have stewardship. So I learned a lot about leadership, and I wrote it all down. I had more letters from some of the people I worked with. People drew little sketches for me, little funny sketches. I would rip pages in half, and I'd have things like this, you know, there's so much. Look at that page. On occasion, I'd also write letters to myself, say a year from the point, maybe when I was having a hard time, or when I wasn't feeling as sure about my goals, or if I had a goal that I wanted to accomplish. And that's how I would keep myself accountable. Now, going into the new one, and I want to talk a little about the what of journaling. In the simplest terms possible, it is recording your thoughts, your feelings, pretty much everything that passes through your mind, and putting it on paper so that it is permanent. Might I introduce a new piece to your journaling methods? And that is the goal setting. In every single journal, you need to be able to set goals. And I think that's what journaling is. It's a record of your growth. And at the very end of our lives, you'll find, and I've realized this as my grandma just passed away, one of the last things she said to the family as they were surrounding her was, "You are my legacy." And to me, I think about that and I ponder, and I'm like, okay, well, what does that mean? What it meant to me was that at the very end of our lives, all we leave behind is our legacy, our family. If we don't have things like this, you disappear and you become nothing more than the whisper on the lips of man. If all we leave behind is our legacy, then we want to make sure that we can prepare for them, our kids. We want them to be the best that they can. And it obviously means probably less to some of you than others, but it becomes so much more when you realize your time is ticking. Here's just an idea before I get into the why. I kind of did talk a little bit about the why, but there's more I have to say. But I set 3 main goals, and that is work, rest, and play. And ultimately, you want these things to be perfectly balanced. You want them to be very, very balanced. For example, if you work too much, you may experience burnout. You work too much and you don't get enough play. Or if you rest too much and you're not working enough, you're resting and playing so much, then you might find that you're lacking purpose. You get it. I saw this on another YouTube channel. I wish I could remember the guy's name, but I thought it was an awesome idea, so I implemented it myself. Another journaling tip that I found that I think is super effective and efficient is bullet journaling. And I kind of talked about it a little bit, where they use the dotted lines and stuff to create graphs and things like that. I'm doing the same thing, only on artist paper, no lines, but I have this graph I've set up. It goes from month 1 to 12. It's supposed to track my YouTube subscriber growth. So right now I'm sitting a little under 5,000 subscribers. My goal is to get to 10,000 by the end of the year, but obviously I have written all the way up to 65,000. So it's like you won't see that graph go up a lot, but also maybe I will, because I set such a great space. In my mind, it almost is, you kind of realize how much you can grow. There's no limiting factor. You can keep going and going, and it's more of a motivation to see that go up. And the dopamine, the positive dopamine that comes in your life as you see growth right before your eyes. You don't just look on YouTube and see, okay, I've grown this much. But if you can literally see the growth, it does something different to your mind. But here's another graph. This is to track my work, play, and rest, and just to make sure that I am keeping it perfectly balanced. And then I have some notes just to talk about things that I'm realizing or recognizing. But you can kind of see I've placed my 3 dots up here. That was just for the first day, but I rate them on a scale of 1 to 10. How well did I do today with my work, my rest, and my play? And then it will help me to see, okay, what do I need more of in my life? What do I need more of? Why am I feeling so burnt out. And then I can look at that scale and be like, oh, well, I've been working too much and I haven't been resting or playing hardly at all. You might also find that if you're at a perfect 10 for your work or your rest or your play, then it means you probably aren't getting your other things. Therefore, you are not obtaining perfect balance. Then of course I sketch and I doodle a little bit. It's fun. It just kind of keeps things personal and more fun to look at. It makes me want to go into my journal and look at it. It's definitely a huge dopamine hit. But you kind of get that basic idea. You have a couple ideas down and you're gonna watch plenty of other videos after this video, I'm sure, of different techniques. And if you aren't planning on it, I encourage you to, because there's so many. Okay, why do you need to journal? For so many of us, this kind of goes into how it will essentially replace your phone. It's a crazy tool, Because right now, so many of us are kind of locked into the negative dopamine that comes from our cell phones. That dopamine replaces all positive forms. So you don't realize exactly how much you're being impacted by your cell phone, how addicted you are, until you realize that there's other places to obtain dopamine. So the journal is a great place. The whole reason why we love video games is because we like to see accomplishment. We like to see character development. Might I encourage that you stop trying to develop the character of this virtual world and start trying to develop your character here in real life. The journal is a perfect place to do that, where you can see, okay, now I've got all these graphs to measure my growth. I've got all these check boxes, these missions, these goals, these quests. These check boxes are gonna help me to know what I can accomplish, how I'm gonna gain from it. And I think that's the other important part, is how will you benefit from these things? Is there an end goal? Is there a reason? Are you rewarding yourselves at the end of these goals? Video games are the fast food of accomplishment. And I'm not saying all video games are bad, but it's definitely holding you back from achieving your goals. And I think you know exactly what I'm talking about. The next big thing, I talked a little bit about the quality of thoughts, how it's going to improve the quality of your thoughts. This is another reason as to why you should journal. It does, in fact, increase the quality of your thoughts. In my journal, personally, I've tried to encourage myself to write every single day. There's one day that I've missed so far, but I try to encourage myself to write every single day. And the reason for that is because I know that as I continue to write, even when I don't know what to write, it's going to train my mind and almost exercise my mind to produce thought. That's the reason why so many people back in the day, why you can read the journal of Marcus Aurelius, is because his thoughts were of very high quality. He would write, he wasn't scrolling, he wasn't distracted by his phone. One of his main sources of dopamine was writing down in his journal. It's the same reason why Leonardo da Vinci's journals have sold for, I think, about $308 million. It's because people were listening less to the thoughts of others and listening more to the thoughts of their own. Therefore, there's these unique ideas and concepts, these different perspectives that you wouldn't get anywhere else. So there's so much more value in those people, not only in what they wrote, but the designs, their concepts. And there must be a reason why someone would spend $308 million on his journals, or why so many people, millions of people, would purchase and read the book of Marcus Aurelius, which is literally just his journal. When so many of us have, in this day and age, different renditions of the same thought because we listen so much to other people and not to ourselves. There's other aspects. The key points I really wanted to talk about was that there's this video game complex, the true form of accomplishment and how to measure that. That was the second thing, was measurable growth. You can measure your growth, how much you're changing. There's accountability, where sometimes a lot of us don't have partners or people to keep us accountable. So this book is a perfect accountability partner. When you see that there's a box that has gone unchecked, you feel guilty. You realize, hey, there's more I could do. It's history for our legacy, for our children, for our grandchildren. It's a release for stress, for creative anxiety, right? It's a release for many things that are clogging your mind or clogging the way you feel. It's an awesome way to connect to yourself, to get to know yourself. I don't think any of us realize how little we actually know ourselves. And it biohacks our brain for growth and creative thoughts. I promise you guys, just journaling every single day, making an effort, even just to write one sentence a day, to maybe every once in a while write a goal down, or to doodle in your little journal, your personal book, I promise you guys are going to find a lot more purpose in life. You're going to find a lot more joy and peace, and actually a lot of stability. You'll be able to understand on a different level exactly the how to achieve your goals. And finally, you will have that written history, not just for yourself, but for your children and your grandchildren, so that they too can learn to accomplish goals or their trials or their struggles or their addictions. And I know it's hard to see, we're very myopic and nearsighted, but these books will be very well respected long past the time that you leave this earth. My name is Gabe the Painter. I'm an artist, and I love to talk about changing your life. And I'll see you in the next video.